This video is designed to help you with the Minitab Express part of Project 1. This is for Math 120, Probability and Statistics at Greenville Technical College, Fall 2017 semester. Before you start, it would be good to have the PDF file that has the Minitab Express instructions. You can follow along with the text as you watch the video. It would also be good to have the assignment in front of you and the data in front of you. Now, I will actually work through some of it, but I'm only going to use a few rows of the data. You should use all of it for your assignment. Now, you can open Minitab Express from your desktop probably by double-clicking it, and you should see a screen like I see, like you have on your screen now when you open Minitab Express. And let's look at some pieces of the screen. Now actually about a ½ inch on each side may be cut off for the video. But if you see at the bottom, towards the bottom right, I'm circling it with my cursor now, is where the data goes. C1, C2, C3, etc. are columns. Right below that, you can put names of the variables. It's a good idea to use that. And then you can enter as many data points as you want below that. Above the data window is the output window, and if you create any graphs or summary statistics, they will appear in the output window. On the left is the navigator. The navigator keeps a history of the work you did, and if you want to go back and bring up a graph again, then you can click on that in the navigator. We will see that later. Let's look at all the way at the top. In the top row, you have things like data, and there's various things you can use to help you with the data. We'll be going through some of this as we go through the course. For example, sorting the data. You can create a number of graphs. So up at the top, if you click on the graphs, you see a number of graphs you can do. We will soon be doing a dot plot. There are statistics you can calculate. We will soon be calculating some descriptive statistics, and you see a drop-down menu for Scribe. So let's enter some data, and I'm going to enter just the first 4 rows that I have. So I'm going to start out by naming the columns. The first one will be Starnes. Let's have to go up to the column, the name. Actually, it's going to be Starnes student, and I'll have the student number there. Now we'll enter 4 students. So just enter 1, return, 2, return, 3, return, 4, return. So this is a lot like entering data into Excel. You can enter data directly into Minitab. You can also enter data in Excel if you feel more comfortable with that, then copy it and paste it in Minitab. Now I'm going to do column 2. The name of it is going to be Starnes GPA. So I will put those 4 numbers in, 2.9, 2.86, 2.6, and 3.6. The next column is Starnes SAT. So I'll enter the first 4 again, 670, 520, 570, and 710. I will now do McGrail student. Now I think you will have more data, so you will enter with new student numbers. I'm going to do 16, 17, 18, and 19. McGrail GPA. .9, 3.3, 3.98, 2.9. They're going to ask me the fourth one. Then McGrail SAT. 620, 590, 650, 600. Now it's important that you have the data in the correct rows because the data are paired. For example, Starnes student 1 had a GPA of 2.9 and an SAT of 670. So make sure that the data are in the correct order. Now, it's a good idea to do two things at this point. One is to check your data, make sure you entered it right. One thing you don't want to do is do the entire assignment with an error. Then everything is wrong if you have one number wrong. Very important part, check your data. And it's good to save it. So we'll save it now. So you may want to save it on your home computer if you're doing it on your personal computer. Or if you're saving it on a school drive, a school computer, you may want to keep a thumb drive. Then you can go to any, and you'll have it for yourself. So I'm going to save it. Up at the top left, you may not be able to see it, but there's a button that says File. If you hit File, there's something that says Save As. The drop down gives you Save As. Then you can put it in the right folder and give it a name. So I save my project often as I go through. In case I make an error, then I have the previous stuff. If I get interrupted, I have it as well. So now the project asks to do a dot plot. So that's a type of graph. So I'll go up to the top where it says Graphs, and I click Graphs. There's a number of graphs, and over towards the left there's a dot plot. So I click on dot plot, and I have multiple variables. I want to do two different columns. I'm going to do a dot plot of the GPA for Starnes and also Grail, and I want to compare them. So I'm going to use multiple Y variables because I have two different Y variables or responses in two different columns. So I click on the multiple Y variables, and now it says, okay, what Y variables do you want? So there's a couple ways of doing this. One thing you can do is just type in C2 space C6. And actually, that doesn't work too well. I don't know how to do a space, so I'm going to do it a different way. I'm going to highlight C2. So on the left, I'll highlight C2 and then hit the arrow. And it says, okay, that's one of the Y variables for the graph. Then I'm going to highlight C5 and hit the arrow. So now I will get a dot plot of these two, so I will hit OK. And the dot plot is in the window. You can't see the whole thing, so What I'm going to do is go back to the home screen. So up at the top where it says home, what I want to see is the output only. So there's something says output only, and it will make that graph larger. So click output only, and I can scroll down a bit to see the graph. Now I have both variables graphed. I have 4 points of each one. The top graph are the 4 values for Starnes GPA. So it looks like the lowest is maybe about 2.65. That's the dot on the left for Starnes. For Starnes, the dot on the right is 3.6. That's the highest GPA. So in addition to the graph, you have a few summary statistics at the bottom. For each variable, Starnes GPA and McGrail GPA, n is the sample size. We have 4 observations of each. It has the mean, or the average, the standard deviation, a measure of spread, the minimum, or smallest value, and the maximum, or largest value. Okay, so this is the first part of the assignment, and there's a few things you can do with it. You want to hand it in. If you click the print button, it will print it, and some people will want to do that. That's fine. If you have a whole lot of graphs and you have a separate page for each one, you may end up with 10 pages. You may want to copy and paste into a Word file instead of printing each one. You can export it to, for example, a PDF file, then print that out to hand it in. Or you can right-click on either the graph or the summary statistics. So I'm going to right-click with my mouse, say copy. Then I can go to another program such as Word or PowerPoint and save this. Now let's create the box plot. We'll do that essentially in the same way, and I may abbreviate it. I'm going back to graphs up at the top. And now I see something called box plots, box plot. I'm going to click the down arrow, and there's different types that I can do, and I have multiple Y variables but no subgroups, so I'm going to do simple. Click the simple button. Highlight C2, and then click the arrow to put Starnes GPA in the box. Highlight C5, click the arrow to put McGrail GPA in the box. Click OK, and now you see the 2 box plots side by side. Now the advantage of this is that it's better to do these together, not one at a time, because when you do them together, you have the same scale for either the dot plot or this plot, so it makes it easier to compare them. See which one has the highest value, which one has the lowest value.